TikTok compilation that might wake you up and change your reality. Let's go!
Disclaimer: this video is for entertainment purposes only. Please do your own research, as these clips haven't been fact-checked.
Try to marry a girl who likes her dad?
Why do you think that's important? I've never heard anybody say that.
Because I've noticed it. I've noticed it a lot, up close. This is just an observation of mine. But, everyone's disappointed by his dad or her dad in later life. Like, you learn that your dad's human, and you're, holy shit, I can't believe he's human. Thought he was God. No, that's natural. But, when you're 8, if you're deeply disappointed in your dad, especially as a girl,
Yeah.
that leaves a mark. And I've known women who had terrible relationships with their fathers who were wonderful people and well-balanced people, but it's harder for sure. Whereas a woman who, grew up really loving her dad and feeling secure in his leadership as a dad and his love as a dad, that girl is more secure and less jumpy, and she's not, thinking that every argument's going to lead to divorce.
Some of us may not have the best example of an earthly father, but we have always had the best example of a heavenly father.
Save you 4 years by telling you why you should or shouldn't join the military. There are 6 branches: Army, Navy, Coast Guard, Air Force, Space Force, and Marines, the one I'm in. In all 6 branches, you get paid the same, your boss is the president, and if you try to quit earlier than when your contract ends, you go to jail. The Air Force, Space Force, and Coast Guard are notorious for better quality of life, faster promotions, so more money, and less physically demanding jobs, but get made fun of by everyone else for their day-to-day being too easy. The Army and the Navy are a dice roll. You could get stationed in Spain and wake up on the beach with a margarita in your hand, or get sent to a base in Texas called Fort Hood, known for its mold problem and abnormally high crime rate. Now, you may have noticed the Marine Corps is on its own, and that's because it is not like any of the other branches. Up front, this is the most challenging. Physically, you're running farther with heavier gear, experience way higher levels of stress as the Marine Corps is the smallest branch, so that means more responsibility. And because we get whatever's left over of the budget for the military after all the other branches, oftentimes we do more with less. It sounds like it's all cons and no pros, but all of that suffering builds character. Don't believe me? I guess the only way to find out is to join. So I'll make it easy for you.
I agree. I think military is good for character. Which one would you choose? Let me hear that in the comment, please.
If you live in the UK, do not fly from Birmingham Airport, or this will be you. What you're seeing is the footage of the queues yesterday morning just to get inside the airport. Oh, and it's also at 5 a.m. In fact, there was even queues forming outside at 4 a.m. The couple who posted these videos said that they made it through security around 2 hours later, around 7 a.m. At which point, it was already final call for their flight, so they had no time to go get food, go to the toilet, or even use the lounge that they paid for. The airport blames the massive queues on a new government directive U-turn on all 100ml liquids, which came into effect at all UK airports over the weekend. But others complain that it's got nothing to do with all of that because it's been like this for weeks. So, I guess, either way...
Anyone from UK, especially Birmingham, please drop a comment.
Lockjaw. Her last name? Sinatra. Her name? Jenna.
They're gonna come get you.
Okay. Thank
Okay?
you.
How long has it been like that?
Half hour now.
Yeah.
Got married yet, right?
Oh, they're really there.
Never seen that before.
Really? That's good to
I'm
know.
sorry to laugh.
You're good.
The joke is cringe.
I think that's it.
Uh-huh.
It hurts when you do that.
Mm-hmm.
So she's gonna start an IV and we're gonna give you some little bit of muscle relaxant stuff.
Okay.
And then we're gonna try and put it back.
Okay.
Okay?
Mm-hmm. What does a muscle relaxer do?
Just relaxes your whole body and all the muscles.
Yeah, I didn't know we hit it.
Makes you loopy. Like, did you hear her say it's gonna give you the good stuff? You getting a little like groggy?
Yeah. I feel like I'm gonna pass out.
Yeah.
I don't really want to pass out, but I feel like it. You got muscle relaxer. Now I don't know. I have more pain. I'm drooling. Yay.
Go to your dentist. Avoid the hospital bill. People get lockjaw all the time at the dentist. They will put it back super fast. You're welcome.
Alright, going randonauting, and it took us to this shady park in the middle of nowhere, so let's see what we find. All we see so far is like trees, a bridge. I think we have to go over this bridge, and our location's a little down there. What the f? Oh, what the f? Should we keep going? What the f? Oh my god, is she following us? She's scared to open my door.
Oh my god, I swear to God, this thing just looked at me. Oh my.
No. Vamos a alumbrar qué es, no, ja. Un niño, como un niño llorando, como un niño llorando. Niño, no, la ¡Ey! ¿Qué es eso? No.
Hey, excuse me. Nana, are you doing dishes? I hope so.
What? Ooh, that's creepy.
Yeah, it's for Stan. I won't break them. Michelle's getting like really good at the drums. So you might have some competition when you get back. We love you. We'll see you soon.
Did you folks see what was behind the tree before the bridge? If you look Oceanside Pier in California on Google Earth, you would see a strange figure on the beach right before the pier starts.
Americans don't know that this town has been burning since 1962 and is still expected to burn for another 250 years. You see, Centralia was founded in 1866 in the heart of Pennsylvania's coal country and was very much like a normal town until 1962. In May of 1962, a fire accidentally ignited in a trash dump which was located in an abandoned strip mine. As in strip mining, the mines are very close to each other. The fire quickly spread to the coal mines beneath the town and continued to spread through underground and eventually covered an area of about 400 acres. This resulted in some of the residents to flee, but in 1981, a 12-year-old boy fell into a sinkhole caused by the fire, narrowly escaping death. This incident brought national attention to Centralia, so in 1984, Congress allocated $42 million for relocation efforts, and most residents took buyouts and left the town. By 1992, the state of Pennsylvania condemned all the buildings in Centralia, and the town's zip code was revoked in 2002. The fire still burns today and is expected to continue for at least another 250 years.
Wasn't this town that inspired the movie Silent Hill? Correct me if I'm wrong. Drop a comment, please.
I've never seen anything like this out here. Get out of the car. There it is. Over here. Here it comes. It's a nose.
Wow. Ooh.
There's debris over our heads. Here it comes. Yeah, the sewer
Wow,
cover
look at
sucked
that.
out of the road here. Sewer sucked out. Oh my God.
Why do you
This is by far the best tornado video I've ever seen.
think this celebrity is avoiding Hollywood parties?
Kai Cenat got invited to Michael Rubin's all-white party by Aiden Ross, but for whatever reason, Kai didn't want to go.
Oh, check this out, look. This is Michael Rubin's all-white party for July 4th. Would you like to go with me? No?
No.
wait, no? I got invited to the other one. Is it not? Oh, you're going to another July 4th party? No, I got invited to the last Michael Rubin. Why didn't you go? Because, I don't know, I didn't want to go. Okay,
You know why he
well,
didn't
if you're not doing anything July 4th, would you want to go to the all-white party? Wait, you got invited to the all-white? Yeah. I did use in the chat. Hey, just keep tag, make sure you got... Do you want to go with me? Oh. Come on. July 4th is when we do fireworks and shit, bro. It's what? Oh, that is true. That is true. Okay, makes sense. All right, bro. Thank you. Shit, I'm having the time of my life.
Yeah, okay.
Kai Cenat is not trying to be violated. That's why he's not going to these parties. Let me know what you think in the comments below and stay weird.
Kai is one of the biggest streamer now. You know, Kevin Hart was at Kai's house. Kevin Hart is a Hollywood gatekeeper. There's no way Kai is completely uninvolved.
This guy, let's call him Hamburglar. And one night, Hamburglar's on the roof of a McDonald's. And it's late and the staff is still there, but the store is closed. And Hamburglar, he has a bunch of power tools and he starts drilling and cutting into the roof. And once he has a 2x2 foot hole big enough, he rappels down into the store. Now the staff, they're still there, closing up the place. And that is when Hamburglar, he pulls out his pew-pew. And he doesn't scream at them or anything, he just politely says, "Will everyone please get into the walk-in freezer? I'm robbing the place." And he's very calm and he's very nice. He even suggests that they take their coats with them, you know, so that they don't get cold. So the McDonald's staff obeys and they shuffle into the freezer. And then Hamburglar, he locks them in and then he robs all the money from the store. And then he flees. And once he's gone, he calls police so that they can come and let the staff out. So that they don't like die in the freezer. Now Hamburglar, he's an interesting guy because he mostly robs McDonald's. Why mostly McDonald's? Well, because he used to work there as a teenager. So he knows McDonald's stores are very cookie cutter. Most of them have the same layout, a lot of them have the same schedule, and when he robs these stores, he always robs during closing time. And he always lowers himself down through the roof so that he won't attract any unnecessary attention trying to bust through the front doors. And using this method, he robs somewhere between 40 and 60 McDonald's stores in a 2-year period. But then, one day, Hamburglar gets a little greedy. He robs a McDonald's, and then a few hours later, he drives 10 miles away, and he finds another McDonald's, and he lowers himself in through the roof, and he starts to rob it too. So 2 stores in one day. But in this McDonald's, an employee is actually able to hit the silent alarm, and then boom, Hamburglar gets caught. And he gets arrested, and here's his mugshot. So he goes to trial, he gets sentenced to 45 years in prison, and almost immediately he starts thinking of a plan to break himself out. 4 years later, he finally gets his chance. See, Hamburglar is very well behaved in prison. So they allow him to work in the metal shop where the good prisoners get to work. And while he's there, he secretly uses all their tools to make like a fake undercarriage. And he fastens it to an actual undercarriage of a delivery truck. And then he hides in it as that delivery truck is leaving the prison. And this allows him to escape. So now he's on the run. But unfortunately for him, he's got nowhere to stay. So he breaks into a local Toys R Us at night, and he stays there. He finds a little cubby hole way behind the bike rack where he can make a little camp and hide and sleep at night. And then every night during closing hours, he comes out, and he gets exercise by riding bikes up and down the aisles, and he survives by eating baby food off the shelves, and he knows where all the security cameras are, so he knows how to avoid them and not get caught. And so he just lives here, in this Toys R Us, comfortably, for like several months. Meanwhile, he starts a sort of normal life out in the community. He joins a local church, and he's very active in it. In fact, while he's at this church, he meets a really nice woman. This woman, Lee. And Lee's a nice single mother with 3 kids, and Lee likes Hamburglar, so they start dating. Now, obviously, he doesn't tell her he's an escaped convict who's living in a nearby Toys R Us. Instead, he tells her he works for the government and that he can't tell her much about his job or his background because he says he has special security clearance and lives in a secret government building. And Lee's just like, alright, cool. Because she likes Hamburglar. I mean, she's a single mother and he's really good with her 3 kids. Like, he's always hanging out with them and bringing them new toys, which he stole from Toys R Us, but whatever. And this whole thing, it goes on for several months. But then, as time passes, it starts to get into the Christmas season. And Hamburglar decides this Toys R Us is getting way too much foot traffic for him to keep staying there, hiding out in his little cubbyhole behind the bike rack. So, he gets some tools, and during closing hours, he tunnels through the wall and into the next building over, which just happens to be an abandoned Circuit City. And there, he sets up a new secret hideout, inside almost a little closet area underneath a stairwell. And he had stolen a DVD player. So there, in Circuit City, he just kind of chills most of the day, and he watches a bunch of DVDs. And he is completely undetected. Until, as the holiday season ramps up, Hamburglar knows Toys R Us is about to make a ton of money. So he decides he's gonna rob them. So he waits until the day after Christmas, and when the store's finally closed, and the employees, they're still there, closing up and counting the money, and Hamburglar gets a pew-pew that he had stolen, and he sneaks into the Toys R Us through the tunnel he had made. And then bam, he approaches the employees, and he's polite, but he orders them to please put their hands up. But unfortunately for him, during this robbery, 2 Toys R Us employees quickly manage to slip out the back door, and they run as fast as they can until they get to a phone and they call police. And then police show up and they try to corner Hamburglar. But Hamburglar, he's a bit crafty, and he manages to escape through that tunnel he created. So then police find the tunnel, and eventually they find his secret hideout under the stairwell in Circuit City. And in his hideout, they find a DVD he had been watching. And from that, they're able to get his fingerprints off of it. And that DVD, coincidentally, catch me if you can. Anyway, once they have his fingerprints, they correctly identify him. And now they know he's the same guy that robbed all those McDonald's back in the day and then later broke out of prison. Hamburglar. So police put out an APB letting everyone in the community know that there's an armed convict on the loose. And then the story makes local news, and then they show Hamburglar's mugshot on the screen, and then some people from the local church, they recognize him like, hey, that's the guy who's dating Lee. So then police, they go talk to Lee. And then they explain to her that this nice guy who's been really great to her kids is actually a wanted ex-con. And Lee is sad and she's devastated and all, but she agrees to help. And then after they plan a whole setup, Lee calls Hamburglar and she invites him over to her 40th birthday party. And Hamburglar shows up to see her, but instead of a birthday party, he finds the police waiting for him. Womp womp. So they arrest him again, and now he's back in prison. Shout out to Charlotte, North Carolina.
Hamburglar is crazy, but actually makes sense, and a really intelligent guy.
Every time it seems that someone tries to make a film about witchcraft, because they try to market it, they have to distort it to make it into something either evil or silly or stupid. And it is something that is very, very sacred.
Firuza was really into it. She's very much Wiccan, you know, and so she really had a certain understanding of it. I think probably that even though I was into all that stuff, I think she had a really deep understanding of it.
I sense that she was the real deal. You know, when I watch that film, I'm like, this girl's the real deal. I know on the set when I would come by, she'd be reading from the Kabbalah. She was living it.
It's strange to hear this coming from me because I used to believe that you're born, you live, you die, that's it. But I have witnessed things that have proven different. You know, there's just too many unexplained things. And I know that there are things that are bigger than us. As above.
I heard Rachel True is a real-life witch as well. She does readings in LA. I remember watching this movie with my sister back in the day. My sister seems like this movie a lot back then.
photo is taken on a life of its own.
And I never even dreamed that we would be, that I would even.
I think the Simpsons go off the book of Revelations. Everything in the book of Revelations have already happened and starting to happen. They don't predict it. What do you think?
Scene of ships passing through the Panama Canal. So how much does it cost to pass through? For small boats, the fees are mainly based on the boat's length and include some security and inspection fees, totaling around $3,000 to $6,000. However, for larger cargo ships, fees are based on weight at $5.20 per ton. Large cargo ships can weigh over 100,000 tons, so tolls amount to at least several $100,000. Most ships passing through the Panama Canal are cargo ships. Fees vary based on cargo size. In 2023, an LNG ship spent $3 million to pass through quickly, making it the most expensive ship that year. So why are Panama Canal fees so high? It's related to its design. The Panama Canal isn't at sea level, but is a series of locks that raise and lower ships. Each time 200 million gallons of fresh water are released into the sea, a significant drain on local freshwater resources. Many wonder why seawater isn't used instead, but looking at Panama's topography, there's a freshwater lake in the middle. If seawater were used, it would contaminate the freshwater lake, which is not feasible. The question is, are warships passing through the canal free of charge?
I think that fees they're collecting is for the repair and maintenance of the Panama Canal.
3 sodas. 3 sodas. 2 bags of hot Funyuns.
2
bags of hot Funyuns. A Nutty Buddy. Alright. A strawberry shortcake. Alright. An ice cream sandwich. 2 fudge round pies. Alright. And Nutty Buddy. A plain Nutty Buddy. Okay. Alright. Give me a minute. Ice cream is one of my favorites. Alrighty. Make sure you order right now. Appreciate you. Alright. So that's how I start my breakfast.
You don't need breakfast,
With ice
buddy.
cream. And it starts to make my day get better at that point.
I've got a good memory. I would have forgot half of it.
So hot in Australia that some people are living underground.
I'd say there's about 1,000 underground dwellings and at least 1,500 people living underground. We've got 5 underground churches, we've got underground motels. There's some amazing underground homes here. Many bedrooms, underground workshop, you name it underground, we've pretty well got it. I bought my dugout as a fairly small 2-bedroom dugout and I've been extending it over the years. Back in the old days, if somebody was going to have a baby, we'd rock round there with a couple of compressors on a weekend and some jackhammers and a couple of cartons of beer, and by the Sunday night we dug out a room, cemented the floor and wired it up, and there's your new baby's room, honey. I don't know why, but we just love the place to bits.
And this is all because...
Wonder what the temperature difference is compared to outside.
Who says I don't want to confront my traumas or my insecurities is accepting narcissism and psychopathy, and you will be one of the most manipulative sons that ever walk the world, and you will take no accountability for it, because anytime somebody pokes on you, your wound's going to flare up, you're going to get triggered, and you're just going to start rejecting everything around you. The dangers of this is that that person who's not willing to confront those traumas, and then after you manage to pull off a relationship by manipulating them and avoiding all of your insecurities, it'll show up in your kids, and you won't be able to stand them. You'll look them in the eye and you won't even recognize them, and actually you'll reject them in every way possible, and you'll further the wound. So before you go ahead and think that you won't be a grade A piece of not confronting parts of you that need to be confronted in your insecurities, in your traumas, in your past, in your faulty belief system. Start there so that you can be a good man and you can be a good woman, because that takes strength.
I don't know who this guy is, but I like him. He's blunt, honest, and to the point. It's refreshing.
Hey guys, I'm back at the scariest lake in all of the world. This is Lake Jessup. It is located between Sanford and Oviedo. This lake is the scariest lake, I believe, in all the world. You want to know why? Because there's 13,000 gators that lurk beneath these waters, these murky, dark, ugly waters. In fact, you want to know why there's nobody boating out here? Look at this beautiful lake on this beautiful day. and you don't see one boat out here. How about this? Not a single person fishing on this beautiful day in this whole lake. You want to know why? Because there's over 13,000 gators that lurk between these waters. I don't want to be standing by the edge right here. In fact, this lake, you can actually walk clear across because it's only about 6 feet deep. But you know what you'll be walking upon? Gator heads everywhere. Because there's over 13,000 gators in this lake. Look how nasty this water looks. Definitely don't go swimming in this lake. Well, listen, if you're ever in the Central Florida area and you want to come take a look at the scariest lake in all of the world, I believe, come right here, Lake Jessup, Central Florida, guys. But yeah, look at this. No boats. No one fishing. I'm sure there's tons of fish in here, right? No one wants to fish. Beautiful day outside. No one fishing. No one boating. Because there's thousands and thousands of gators in this lake. Maybe in the next video I'll show you some videos of some gators. Because listen, there's a bridge. I don't know if you can see it. It's way over there that you drive across. And every time I drive over that bridge, I see gator eyes looking at me and gator heads everywhere. It's wild, guys. Well, here you go. Scariest lake in all the world. Lake Jessup.
Fun fact, there's over 13,000 gators in that lake.
Avoid these 3 fruits at all costs because they'll make you fat. When you talk about fruit, everybody thinks that fruit is healthy, fruit is good for you, but that's not true. Fruit number 1 that you should avoid and just throw it in the trash bin is bananas. What's wrong with bananas? Bananas are one of the most highly caloric foods. They get digested easily, they have a lot of sugar, and they don't have like a great volume. So you eat it, you don't even feel that you ate it. You just ate 20 grams of sugar, 150 calories, and you don't really feel it. Food number 2 you should avoid is avocado. It's terrible. Okay, the only thing good with fruit is that it doesn't have fat. Avocado has fats.
Oh, they got healthy fats, man. Get some healthy fats.
You can eat some fish for the healthy fats. Another fruit you should avoid is any dried fruit, which is like raisins. It's terrible, okay? It's also processed, so the sugar is like more like real sugar. It's so much easier digested. It really raises the blood sugar. It's so good for you if you want to stay fat.
You people are confusing us. Today eat this, the next day don't eat it. I love avocado, by the way.
I have looked at this footage. Colleagues of mine from some major universities have looked at this footage, and we all concur that this is exactly the same creature that was in Loch Ness. It's the same creature as the Loch Ness Monster. Periodically, these pop up in different areas of the world. It's a rare sighting, but that's what you see.
Oh, you look at the footage. Well then, mystery solved.
Next video, a grandmother is celebrating her birthday while being surrounded by friends and family, all of whom are singing happy birthday to her.
Happy birthday to you.
As the video plays out, it seems that this footage is nothing more than just a normal video of someone recording their grandma, or at least it seems like that. Because as you continue to watch, something happens that makes this video the stuff of nightmares. This is what was caught. As everyone collectively sings, a shadow-like figure bolts behind the grandma. In a swift motion, the figure is gone. It rushes over at full speed, but not so fast that we can't discern what this was. As viewers have noted, it kinda looks like a child, or a girl to be exact, who's running at an inhuman speed. Perhaps it was running so fast that no one had noticed it except the camera. Now this video becomes a whole lot creepier when reading the description it came with. As it states, the grandmother in this footage had a daughter who unfortunately passed away many years ago. When she was alive, she would often run around the house while playing with her older sibling. It's for this reason that she believes that this was her spirit. But as always, you be the judge on what was captured. Was a ghost caught on camera, or had something else been caught?
It was the awful singing and clapping that summoned a demon. And why is it always low quality cameras get to capture things like this?
Here's how you know somebody has power, like how you can identify the most powerful person in the room. And this goes back to a simple quote, an observation about human nature from the American author Josiah Gilbert Holland, who once wrote the following words: "Calmness is the cradle of authority," by which he meant that the most powerful person is also the most calm, the most dignified, the most collected and silent. Vice versa, anybody who loses their temper, who starts yelling, thereby loses control of themselves. The truly powerful don't need to assert themselves. Their power speaks for itself. This means that the most powerful person in the room is probably the person who commands authority, not by means of speaking, but by means of listening, by means of being silent. This means that the truly strong are the most gentle, are the most understated, because they know their strength. They have nothing to prove. Calmness is the hallmark of authority.
I was under the same impression. Then experience the most powerful person doesn't mean the most intelligent or kind.
Är det fett i köd? Nej! Oh my god! Är det köd? Är det köd? Ta.
She's saying, keep your junk out of my home in a nice way.
Powerball rigged? Last night, the $1.326 billion drawing was delayed over 3 hours, and as expected, after a peculiar delay, one person won it. And of course, you will never know who it is because they've built in protections for privacy. We were just supposed to assume that a person actually did win. Matt, this is crazy talk. You're a conspiracy theorist. Well, thank you. But this isn't the first time this has happened. 2022, the largest Powerball in history, over $2 billion. This drawing was delayed by 9 hours. 24% federal tax withholdings for Big Brother, and the remainder for an unknown secretive person. What is it about electronic machines picking winners with coincidental delays that makes me lose trust in the system? $1 billion on the line and electronic systems in place across various states seems to fumble. They literally have one job: check the tickets. But somehow, in the middle of the night, something changes. It almost seems like a winner is chosen rather than a winner wins fairly. But what do I know? I'm just a conspiracy theorist. But it does sound oddly familiar.
Where there is smoke, most likely fire. I'm thinking most everything is rigged the older I get. But let me know your take in the comment, please.
What is the #1 best anti-inflammatory food in the entire world? Can you take a guess? You think it's omega-3 fatty acids, fish oils? Not even close. There are so many things that create inflammation. We have gluten, we have refined sugars, seed oils, alcohol, junk food, etc., etc. But most inflammatory conditions, I'm talking about autoimmune, I'm talking about arthritis type problems, originate in the gut. And you can drink all the fish oil you want, it's not going to do anything. You must change your diet, okay? And the primary food that I'm going to recommend that can heal the gut, which is the food that has the most glutamine. Glutamine is like a healer of your gut. And the food that has the most glutamine is red meat, okay? Beef. That is the food that is the best healer for your gut. But of course, at the same time, you're going to have to avoid, gluten, grains, junk food, sugar.
Barbara O'Neill would definitely disagree with the red meat answer.
They're about to get a whole lot worse in the UK. And if you live in the UK, you are about to have the worst summer ever. So I'm sure you know in the UK lots has been going on recently within government and all kinds of crazy stuff. I don't even know what to think anymore. Now you're probably all waiting for summer, for the hot weather, for the lovely days, getting down the beach, right? I mean, we've had a couple, but that's done. That is not coming back anytime soon, as we are now on track to have the coldest and wettest and most depressing summer on record ever. With apparently up to 70 days of rain within just 3 months. Like, what? That's like nearly the entire of the 3 months of summer with rain, which is going to be fun for festival season, things like Glastonbury and Reading, along with all of the other things that are happening in the UK. Now, if this is right and the weather predictions are 100% accurate, this will be the wettest summer since 1912, so over 100 years ago. Seeing the state of the UK at the moment, it's going to be a lot more depressing, because, yeah. Honestly, I don't know what's going on anymore. I seriously don't. So always hit that follow button and I will keep you updated.
I'm not a psychic, but I call this in early April. This is by design. Jon Snow and the Starks have already warned us about it. Winter is coming.
I heard you can buy a house for $1 in Spain. Is that true?
Yes, you can actually buy a home in Spain for $1. And the reason behind this is that local authorities have determined that in order to revive some of these rundown areas and boost tourism, they need to offer these properties that are basically abandoned for €1 in order to bring in people that can afford to revive them.
I'd like to buy 1,000 houses, please, and keep the change.
Popular TikToker Leah Halton is currently going viral and is getting a lot of hate because people have discovered what she looks like without makeup on. I personally think that this entire situation is brain rot, but nonetheless, let's talk about it. This is what Leah Halton looks like with makeup, and all of her videos pretty much on her account, she's always wearing makeup, so she's pretty much always looking like this. And now here's what Leah Halton looks like without makeup. As you can see, you could definitely see a difference, but in my opinion, I really don't think it is too drastic, but a lot of people on social media are just freaking out about this and are saying that Leah Halton is a catfish. Here's one more example of Leah Halton without makeup, and once again, I just don't really see that big of a difference, you know what I mean? Like, obviously someone is going to look a lot more different with makeup than without, but I don't really think like she deserves hate because of what she looks like without makeup on. Overall, I feel like people just care way too much about stuff like this. Like, who actually really cares that she wears makeup or not? Like, I guess a lot of people do, but it really does not affect me, and I'm just really curious to know your thoughts about all this.
I think she looks good either way.
Pray. But don't pray haphazardly. Don't pray casually and without intentionality. Pray in alignment with the truth of God. This takes attention. This takes forethought. This takes intentionality to make sure you know what the promises of God are so that you can line yourself up in prayer with what it is that God has already said. Someone asked, why do we pray when God has already promised it? Why do we waste our breath in prayer when if God has already promised it, if he's declared it, if he's going to do it, then why pray? The reason why is because prayer is the key that begins to unlock the resources of heaven so that they are unleashed onto the landscape of our earth, of reality. Prayer doesn't manipulate God. It just gives us access to the things that God already plans to do for us anyway. Prayer is this beautiful opportunity that he gives us to be a partner with him in seeing his kingdom come and his will being done on earth as it is in heaven. Our God has given us the key to work with him, to be in conjunction with him as his purposes are unleashed on planet Earth. Why wouldn't we use a key like that? So when we see and hear and understand God's promises, it shouldn't dull our prayer life and make us lazy in prayer. Instead, it should ignite our prayer lives with an extra measure of confidence and assurance that we would otherwise lack. Now that we know God's promises, instead of floundering in our prayer lives, now we've got some concrete truths to rest what we're saying on. God's promises then become a roadmap for us, a track to follow so that our prayers are actually rooted in something specific. God's promises become an arrow that point us in the right direction, and in and of themselves, those prayers actually then become the destination too. You don't have to know the details of how everything is going to work out, but you can base every single prayer directly on the promises of God, because he is not a man that he should lie.
God is never silent. He's working behind the scenes. Folks, there's a free gift below about praying if you're interested.
Give you 5 signs now that you're ignoring your trauma. You identify as a loner. You like to be alone. You have no problem spending time with yourself, which can come from that in your past you actually had nobody to go to and nobody really to connect. You struggled with loneliness. What about your childhood memories? Can you remember? And if not, let me tell you, it has nothing to do that you have a bad memory. Your brain is trying to protect you from memories that actually can hurt you, that you're not getting triggered in your day-to-day life. And how do you show up towards people? Are you super nice? Do you say thank you for everything? Probably a bit too much. Is it possible that in your childhood, nobody actually was kind to you?
No.
And how about compliments? Can I give you a compliment and would you be able to accept it? And in the very first moment, you could say, no, I'm too humble. I don't take it. But is that actually the case? Do you catch yourself apologizing an awful lot? Do you maybe over-apologize? Is it possible that in your childhood you have been criticized an awful lot and been blamed for stuff you haven't even done? Maybe you have been the scapegoat in the family. And what about the functional freeze response? Do you lie in bed and you find it very difficult to reply to text messages and you actually don't want to leave your house? Your body is caught in a heightened stress response, a functional freeze response. Your body seems to function, but your mind just can't get you to do stuff. You are estranged from your body and you find it very difficult to execute simple tasks.
Wow. Calm down, lady. Let me know how you feel about this in the comment.
If you have flies in your house, make sure you watch this video. We're going to try something. I live in the South and we have a lot of flies and bugs here. So if you live in the South, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Sometimes we'll get flies in our house, whether it be like normal house flies or fruit flies. I've tried different things before, but I saw this new one. So we're going to try it together and see how it works. So what you're going to need is either a quarter of a cup or a half a cup. You're going to need vegetable oil or olive oil, shampoo, which I've never used before. Normally I use dish soap and it doesn't really work for me here. So we're gonna use shampoo. And then I think this one is the key. You can use red wine vinegar or apple cider vinegar because both of them smell like decaying fruit to the flies and it attracts them. So all you do is take a quarter cup or a half cup of each and put it into a bowl. All right, now we're gonna do a quarter cup of vegetable oil in the bowl. Now we're gonna do a quarter cup of red wine vinegar. Put that in the bowl. Ooh, I hate the smell of vinegar. Ugh. And now we're just gonna mix that up. Looks like that. Ooh, it stinks. And like I said, I've never done this before, so I'm gonna actually make 2 bowls. I'm gonna put one in the kitchen and one in another room, and we're gonna check back in a few hours. So we don't really have many flies in our house right now at the moment anyways, but I just wanna show you. It's literally been like 3 minutes, and there's already one in there.
No.
You guys gonna try it?
I don't know why these flies nowadays are super bold. They fly right near your hand when you're eating and keep coming super close.
Do you want to know why the Ethiopian Bible has 88 books compared to the Holy Bible's 66 books? Buckle up, because this was one of my favorite things to learn when researching biblical history. First of all, the Holy Bible that is everywhere now in multiple different translations was assembled by the Catholic Church, which has been corrupted since the beginning. That's not even the interesting part about all this. What makes Ethiopia so special that they would have their own version of the Bible that would be more complete and more accurate than the one the rest of the world uses? Now, Christians who read the Bible don't get a clear answer to this, but there is almost an Easter egg in Scripture that'll point us in the right direction. In the Book of Kings and Chronicles, we see a character named the Queen of Sheba. Sheba was a kingdom that was around in biblical times that stretched through parts of Africa and Arabia, modern-day Ethiopia. Now, the Bible tells us that the Queen of Sheba came to visit King Solomon to test his wisdom. She stayed for a time, and then when she left, Solomon gave her whatever she asked. What the Bible doesn't share is that the Queen of Sheba actually had a child with Solomon, a son. This son and heir set up the Solomonic dynasty in Ethiopia. That entire region was introduced to the Hebrew God, the texts, and their faith, their religion, was established outside of Catholic control. What is absolutely insane is that the Solomonic dynasty reigned in Ethiopia until 1974. 1974! The Holy Bible that we have, created by the Catholic Church, was absolutely corrupted by the pagan influence of the Catholic Church. It was to control the information that people have access to. I promise you, the Ethiopian Bible is way more accurate and complete. It has so much valuable information. I've posted a link below if you want to get yourself a copy of the Ethiopian Bible and start having access to this lost knowledge. But if you don't want to read it yourself, you can follow along because I'm going to start sharing more and more truths.
We have the Dead Sea Scrolls showing us the Bible, and it's the same as ours today. Now, I have not investigated this Ethiopian Bible, and I will, but I question what she says.
It's always 13 families. The most powerful family here in the American shores who came over are the Collins family. Collins comes from Colon, Cristobal Colon, who is Columbus. Hence you've got the District of Columbia, the Knights of Columbia, Columbia Pictures, Columbia the country, British Columbia. Who owns that? Families. They own them. That's why they have their separate state laws, because it goes back to their separate trust funds that they created.
DC, is that not part of the United States? Because they always say they complain they can't vote in America, but that's done on purpose, right? That it's kind of like the City of London and the Vatican. It's its own sovereign thing. Am I wrong on that?
Farnese family owns it, and the Orsini, Colonna, absolutely the Colonna family, which is Collins. The Collins family, they own it all. It's their property. Satanic families who come to pollute our minds with all this perversity that's going on in the world, sexualizing little children. What happens when children get sexualized is that demon entities come through their portals, through their Taurus field, and occupy them and pervert them. And that's why, you know, these deviants who are sexual deviants, they want more. They want adrenochrome, they want snuff film, pedophilia. Now we have great little kids, bestiality. They're not stopping it. Just
now, I'm not allowed to say certain things, and this is how they hide everything. So if you really want to understand what you are, where we are, this book literally will unveil that to you.
This is Santos Bonacci on Tinfoil Hat Podcast with Sam Tripoli and Eddie Bravo.
When I was 15 years old, my parents sent me to a cult in Colorado, and this is how it went. So they woke me up one Tuesday morning. They were like, you need to get ready. You need to pack your things. We're going on a family vacation. Me and my parents didn't even eat dinner together. Like, we never spent time together. So a family vacation was a little bit sus. I was like, okay, you didn't tell me this. I'm late to school. What about homework? What about schoolwork? And they were like, oh, don't worry about it. We already sorted that out with your teachers. Another really weird thing is that my grandma showed up. She lives in Texas. We live in Utah. So my grandma just randomly showing up out of nowhere. Super duper weird. My grandma gave me a huge hug. Everything seemed really, really off, really weird. But then we got in the car and we started heading to Colorado. My parents said that we were going to be going to Pikes Peak. Little did I know they were dropping me off at a cult. We got there like super duper late, so we stayed in a hotel that night. Me and my parents got into some heated arguments, some stuff broke out, but the next morning, my dad sits down on the edge of the bed, looks at me and says, Caitlin, so the real reason we brought you here is because there's a super great family that you're going to be staying with. And that's when my 1 year of absolute horror began. I'm about to record part 2.
This is so sad. How can parents do these things to the children? It's beyond me. I pray someday you have good relationship with the Lord.
So have you heard of this radio station? It's like really old, called Coast to Coast. The host interviews the craziest of people, and there's one story where an average Joe calls in. He collects motorcycles and stuff, and he has 2 motorcycles in particular that he loves. And he told his daughter, when I die, you can sell everything, but please keep these 2 motorcycles within the family. One of them was some Honda, something from like 1970. Drove it to the coffee shop. He's getting a coffee. This guy comes in, he's like, hey, who has the Honda? And he's like, yeah, it's mine. He's like, no way, I have one just like that. They just started talking, and he's like, what other bikes do you have? They mentioned the other one that he really loves. The guy goes, no way, I have that bike as well. He's like, that's crazy. It was passed down from my grandpa. And he's like, that's weird. He started to cry. He's like, I'm sorry, can I hug you? And the guy's like, yeah, sure. And then the kid whispers in his ear and he says, in October, do not go to Alaska. The guy's just like, okay, all right. He's like, but I do travel to Alaska at least 6 times a year. And he's like, that's it. That's all I need to say. And he's like, it was really nice meeting you. And then he left. He's like, this is really weird. I don't know if it was the sun reflecting off of something or what, but he saw a flash and he couldn't find the kid. And so he's like kind of convinced that it was his grandson, just time traveling. That can't be a coincidence. It sounds too real to just be a coincidence.
If you feel like you're being watched by the trees here in Woodlands National Park, you are. There are dangerous creatures here in these woods that look exactly like trees, but they are very dangerous and they are out to get you. If you hear loud rustling in the woods or see a tree that is suspiciously out of place, report it to a park ranger immediately. We are currently conducting an investigation. James, that tree wasn't there a minute ago. James!
Jay's gone. So why in the world would I go Woodlands National Park?
Japan is in big trouble. Their currency, the Japanese yen, has always been extremely stable, but lately the value of it is going down to the point where it will become worthless if it continues to drop. $1 used to equal about 100 yen, but nowadays that same dollar will get you 160 yen, meaning the value of it has been nearly cut in half. If you're a tourist or an American living in Japan, this is great news, because it means that you can exchange your dollar for yen and buy a lot more stuff with it. In fact, people on TikTok who live in Tokyo have been saying that their rent has been dropped by hundreds of dollars because of the exchange rate, and they are able to splurge on luxury items more than ever before. But for the Japanese citizens who are born and raised there, this means that inflation will start to affect their basic necessities, as salaries have stayed the same but prices of things keep going up. The problem is people on TikTok and social media don't realize how serious of a problem this is for Japan, and seemingly everyone is taking advantage of their falling currency and are planning trips there to have a good time for very little money.
Still, when people taking advantage of the currency issue, they are spending locally. If Americans or Europeans come to Indonesia, they will live like a king because everything is super cheap for them. Most of us make $400 a month and we live okay.
Would my grandmother in the satanic cult I grew up in make us children pretend to feed porcelain dolls potion or psychedelics? They were just porcelain dolls with little bottles with milk in it, but the parents told us that there was also potion in it. They told us to feed the porcelain dolls. Why? Because I was given potion as a baby. And that's their way of training us, or our generation, to do it to the next when we have children. That's how these things get passed from generation to the next.
Okay, I don't understand. What is the desired outcome of these rituals? Anyone knows? Drop a comment, please.
The best revenge that you can do to almost anyone that disregarded you, ghosted you, left you in red, left you unsent, is to completely cut the energy that you were once giving them. Now, I'm going to show you some really deep, dark psychological tricks that you can use on people when they toss you to the trash. Trust me, I've been there. Everybody's going to be there once or twice in their life. And it is very important to use this trick to your advantage. So, when you take away your attention from something, you are essentially taking away the power from that thing that you have your attention on. So, say for example, you were into someone and this person is no longer interested in you, they don't want anything to do with you. If you chase this person, what happens in the brain of the other person is that they're going to look at you as less than, because you are chasing them. If you take away your energy and you don't chase them, you are essentially forcing them to think about themselves and if they are worthy enough in general, because they're going to think, how come this person is not trying hard enough when I remove my energy away from them? So the best revenge that you can do to anyone is to take away your energy and your attention from them, and the longer that you do it, the better it is for you.
You're playing tennis with someone, you hit the ball to them, but they don't hit back. Walk off the court and don't look back.
Things they don't tell you, part 147. If you are somebody that's prone to bloating or have acid reflux, you should avoid drinking through a straw, because once you insert the straw, that has air in it, and every time you stop drinking and then continue to drink again, you swallow a bit of air, and this can cause more bloating into your stomach. Also, swallowing the excess air has been shown to increase gas as well. So for the gassy people and bloating people, try to avoid drinking drinks through a straw.
But I don't like putting my lips on cups.
Yes, they put cameras in TVs now. Looking for hidden cameras? What are you looking for? I got that question a lot. Always be aware if you see one of these left behind. Harmless USB charger, right? Handy travel flashlight? See it? That's a camera. The phone's not picking it up, but it reflects with a blue hue. Home TV. See it? If you're somewhere at like an Airbnb, You can download an app called Fing, and it'll show you everything on the network. I have some flashlights and things that I like to travel with in my Amazon store. Just click that link in my profile, and then the one that says Amazon store. Be aware and be safe.
Many TVs now have cameras to be used for video conferencing.
She has access to the Vatican archives because of her position as a professor of religious studies, and she has gone through and looked at all this church history. She's pretty much deduced that these ascent narratives that exist in the Bible and the church history have some UAP either connection or explanation. So for example, there's this really famous story of Saint Francis of Assisi. He was the one who cared for animals. And the story is that he saw an angel, and the angel somehow connected to him, and he received the wounds of Christ. And there's paintings out there. There's one in the Louvre I just saw. It shows the angel, and these beams are shooting down into his hands, and he's having that moment where he connects with this Jesus Christ. Diana has gone to the Vatican archives and looks up the actual story, like the Latin text. This wasn't some like beautiful angel, and he doesn't describe it as an angel. He describes it basically as a craft.
We should all have access to the Vatican archives. What do you think?
It's crazy. First of all, Antarctica wasn't in that location. It was in a more hospitable location. Why? How do we know this? The animals are coming up out of the melting ice. So they take them to do autopsies on them, and they have undigested food in their throats and their stomachs. So what does that tell you? They were flash frozen. So now we're talking about tectonic plate slippage. We're talking about a huge continent slipping and moving into a different position, probably within hours, and creating a global flood. And when that water washes across that land with that cold air and that wind, everything is frozen very rapidly. Now there's a giant hole down there, about 30 meters wide. This hole is visible from Google Earth. And when you look at that hole, that 30-meter wide opening, you see all the bases from the biggest countries around Earth are there in this research area. And they're all working in collaboration. There's one other area down there, though, one other research base that makes you scratch your head. The Rockefeller Foundation is there.
What? The real question is, what is in Antarctica? Why are not civilians allowed? And what are these big nations researching?
Never heard a U.S. president yell, ever. I've never heard a U.S. president lose himself. When you hear them debate or talk about things, it's a debate. I can look at you, you can look at me, it'll be like, Stephen, I don't think that this is right. And then you'd say, Evie, well, why isn't this right? If we do it this way, this way, this way, this is gonna happen. Yeah, but Stephen, if you do it like that, and what if this happens and these guys die? Well, I don't see it like that. Well, sure, I see it this way. It's like, we're gonna have to figure it out. Their feelings are not so fragile, their ego not so soft that you can actually have this debate. And that's important for you to have in your circle. Can you have these debates with people? Someone who's in control and setting the agenda is someone who's lying. And so sometimes we have to bring a little bit more line in with us. Or somebody who's competing is somebody who's capable of kind of debating with you, but it doesn't have to be ugly. I don't have to raise my voice or get in your face to break something down. Problem the majority of people have is they're so invested and emotional, they bring their feelings hurt, their feelings into it. Even something you just brought up, Trump. Everyone's so emotional when they hear that name. Pull back and be objective. It's like, let me look at this from a factual standpoint. When you can make decisions based on facts and rationality, the emotions go out the window. You don't want to be an emotional decision maker. It never goes well.
100% true. Emotions always lose.
Let's talk about this heat. See, I'm in Florida, right? And I'm used to hot weather. But this year has been different. It's really hard to explain, and when I try to talk to people about it, they look at me like I have two heads. But they also know what I'm saying is true because they're experiencing it too. Has anybody else noticed this? That the sun's heat is just different. It almost feels like a heat lamp, like a dry, stinging heat. And around here, it's been much hotter than it has been the last couple years. For instance, today, it's going to be 100 degrees in North Florida in June. Usually it doesn't get this hot until September, August. Those are the hot months. Those are the days where 90, 95 degrees is normal. 100 degrees in June. A dry heat in Florida is different. Can anyone else explain this, or is this happening to anyone else? Let me know in the comments.
Anyone from Florida and can share the experience in the comment? It would be nice.
Barbara O'Neill realized that the most effective liver cleanse you can do right now at home is take 1 lemon or 1 key lime and put it into a glass of water every single morning for the next 7 days. Most powerful cleanse you can do for your liver, but it will also help you stimulate the metabolism, which burns more fat, and it will alkalize the body, which will in turn reduce the chances to develop diseases. Follow for more.
There's something quite horrible in alleyway. Thank God. What's that?
What's
Hello?
that?
What's that? Hello? Hello?
Any clip that starts out with the phone already set up and recording an entrance is always suspect. Alright folks, I'm going to end our video with this coming clip. Be kind to each other. If you haven't subscribed, please do. And don't forget to like or dislike so I can make better content. Thank you for staying till the end. There's a free gift below if you like. Thank you for watching. Have a prosperous day and God bless.
Act when you see an attractive person. Make eye contact. Now look down, hold 1, 2, slowly look back, now look away. Soft smile, scratch your neck, lick your lips. Make eye contact. Now wink. Now with the other eye, now with both eyes. Now smolder. More fierce. Stick out the tip of your tongue. Now swallow really hard. Big deep breath. Eye contact. Now bite the tip of your finger. Now bite the middle of your finger. Now bite the base of your finger. Pull it out. Now subtly sniff your finger. Eye contact. Slowly start nodding yes. Yes. Now a little crazy in the eyes. Keep nodding, more crazy, and relax. Look back at them very quickly. Now look them up and down. Now lick your teeth and snap.